Can you give us the prayer loud and clear that was authored by Padre Babianoon, the prayer of Amun?
Yes. The cook should be Amun-Rayay. Una bad momadu who Madea who Mumter who Lee Fanan the man who Wakat. Padre Babianoon. Kalel Hamad I did me Amun-Rayay. Dar Shalil Baba Tat Upata Anuke Wap. I trust by way of Amun-Rayay and his master teachers and his papyri and his warner for this day and time, Padre Babianoon. All praises are for Amun-Rayay, overseers of the heaven and the earth. I am Nuwapi.
Thank you. I love you. Appreciate you. All right. Let me see my wallet. We have some tracking numbers for, I think, Aaron and Walter. And I want to give a shout out to old Danny. He's stepping up. He's creating videos with our words, the Most High's words in it to post out. And he's working to perfect that and increase the length of them. And I love the way he's in Telegram, and he's starting to spread his wings and dig in for the fight. And everybody else that's out there doing it, I see you. I see the people that are sincerely trying, and these are the last days. Make no mistake about it. And I also want to tip my celestial hat to Brother O'Danny, because he's committed to donating $100 every week to the mission. And that's a very powerful statement, that he and Aaron both in Chicago have made. And bless your soul. And everybody else that's donating to the mission, bless your soul to the ninth power. And I want to inform you all that as real as you know this is, tonight you're going to find out it's even realer and truer than that. And closer than your own jugular vein. Believe me. Now, could everybody go to Revelations in your Bible, 3:14. And somebody get that and read it. I'll tell you what it says. Until the angel of the church of Laodicea write, saying these things. The Amen, faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of God. And make no mistake, the reason we're here, me and all of you, is simply to bear witness to the truth of the Most High and His angels and His kingdom to come to earth as it is in heaven. Right? And we're going to run to holy tablets. We're going to be moving, jostling around quite a bit. So you're going to have to be agile mentally to keep up with this. We're going to go to chapter 13 of the holy tablets. You're going to work today, and you should be getting your pens and papers together. Go to chapter 13, and I think it's tablet 18. Let me repeat, this is a lot realer than you thought previously. All right, we're going to go to chapter 13, tablet 18, verse 14. Are you all there?
Tua.
I'm here, Messiah.
Yes.
All right.
I'm here, Amun. I'm here.
Very good. Okay. 14. So when you, Ahmed, have finished with the duties of your mission. Okay, so what do we learn from that statement? So when you, Ahmed, have finished with the duties of your mission, do we have a clear mission have we been assigned by the Creator? Is that our authority, or am I making this up?
That's our
That's our authority.
That's
authority.
So when you have finished
It's for real.
with the duties of your mission, then you must work hard and desire to return to your Rab, Amun, right? And of course, Amun is a term that's used in many ideologies and religions. For example, with the Muslims in the Quran, they have surahs, and when they recite a surah, like Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmuddin, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in, Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim, Siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim, Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. They end it with Ameen. That's Amun. And when the English and Christianity finish or recite a section of the Bible, they end that with Amen. That too is Amun. Revelation 3:14, the faithful and true witness, the Amun. And I am that, faithful and true, and so are many of you. And I do want to make it clear that all of you that are with me, believe it or not, it's going to be difficult for you to wrap your minds around it, but you all are not mortal beings born of the lust of the flesh. You all are not mortal beings born of the lust of the flesh. You are born by the will of God. It is true that you all have been here more than one time, and that we're talking about the number we gather is actually referred to as the re, is prefixed by re-awakening of the elite few, implying that you all have been awake before. Because the 144,000 are actually you all that are in the earth and have been on a very necessary job for many thousands of years. Because the Creator actually sent 124,000 prophets, 315 apostles, and 113 messiahs, and there are roughly 19,000 more new souls incarnating on earth for the first time to round off that number. Behold, I looked at Mount Zion, there stood a lamb, that's myself, with a numerical value of 30, with 144,000, you all, they'll be gowned in white, with their father's name written in their foreheads. And that is indicative of the fact that your third eye or your pineal gland is now open, because certainly thou wert heedless of it, but today we have removed from you your veil so your sight is sharp. You follow me? Certainly thou wert heedless of it, but today we're removing from you your veil so your sight is sharp this day. Right? And just to make sure that we got our authority right, while you in the holy tablets, and chapter 13, go to tablet 16, just back up one page, and go to verse 248. Right? Now, you know, people have a difficulty, and we all know that basically all of us came into this world, and our first connection with God was through the Christian faith. So that we were all taught about the return of Jesus in the final and last days. And we prayed for this, and we all anticipated his return. But what is odd is that on my return, everybody's acting surprised, shocked, and in total disbelief. So it's a wonder that when I tell you that you all have returned, that you can wrap your mind around that even. You follow me? But the Most High works in mysterious ways. His wonders to perform, and behold, it is real. All right, Holy Tablets, chapter 13, tablet 16, verse 248. And I read, as for those who conceal what they know to be true, mute your phones, and idol worshipers, those that worship idly, and there's a lot of them, could not have freed themselves from falsehood until the clear evidence came to them 251. He, Ahmed, that's myself, was one sent from Elion El as an apostle, reciting the purified pages, 252, the holy tablet, and that's capitalized and underlined for emphasis, because he wanted to make sure you didn't think it was a typo. 253, in it are straight inscriptions, right? So now, what do you learn from that statement? Everybody that's in the Wapi is familiar with Ahmed and his history. That's the Prophet Mustafa Muhammad Alame's birth name. He's one of the three men that was Ahmed in birth, Muhammad in prophecy, and three, Mahmud in the end. Right? So he, Ahmed, was one sent from Elion Eliel, the Most High Creator, as was Panabab Yanun, as an apostle reciting the purified pages, the holy tablet. Right? So that's my authority to recite the holy tablets to you all. Now the rest of these people that think I've read the holy tablets 4 times and I know what it's saying and this, that, and the other, where's their authority? That's right. He, Ahmed, that's right. He, Ahmed, was one sent from Elion El as an apostle reciting the purified pages, the holy tablet. In it are straight inscriptions. And for those who were given the scripture, didn't become divided until after the clear evidence came to them. What was that clear evidence that they became divided about?
That you're the real Messiah.
That's right. That he, Ahmed, was one sent from Elion El on a mission, right? As an apostle, right, reciting the purified pages, the holy tablet. Panabab Yanun had a mission and has a mission. And part of my mission was to help him achieve the successful results in his mission. And I strived and I donated diligently. I did everything in my power for many, many years to help him build the Nubian nation. We walked side by side and back to back in that endeavor. And, you know, I own 2 bookstores in New Orleans alone. One in Jefferson Parish and one on Claiborne and Elysian Fields in the greatest metropolis of New Orleans. And I used to donate $1,000 a month to the mission. And at one point, when I was in San Diego in my early 30s, I had bought a project, a building, and we named it Genesis. It was a move-on project that I was moving into the city of San Diego to open up a Holy Tabernacle Ministries, Ansur Allah bookstore and begin a community there. Well, Imam Isa had told me, because I had a property there and I had a small house next to my primary house, he asked me to open up the bookstore there because it was zoned commercial so I could do it. But in my enthusiasm, I went out and got a loan on my property to purchase an entire large building, big as Noah's Ark, and then have it transported to San Diego, where I had bought a lot on Market Street. But now, as that building was on the truck with the Mexican company, Dark Marquez Movers, they were moving that big building, Genesis, to San Diego. The city of San Diego had a rush meeting, and they determined to put out a message that there was a moratorium in the whole city of San Diego banning all move-ons into the city. They did that just specifically to stop my project, right? And it was so serious, it was such a spiritual war that before I did that, I had went out on Market Street and I started to open up another store there across the street from the Muslim Masjid, the Elijah Muhammad Masjid. And I had poured a lot of money into that and ordered a lot of extensive products from Brooklyn, from some things, the bookstore there. We had gold-braided ropes and everything, cash register, the highest quality of everything. And when it was time for us to have the lights turned on, the city of San Diego showed up late. And the man came in with a clipboard, and me and my then mate, Khadija, was standing in the middle of the floor under the light, and he walked to me and he said, "Let there be light." And he pulled the string and he said, "And there was none." I said, "I beg your pardon?" I paid my, and he gave me the clipboard to look at, and he said, "A council of witches, literally, a council of witches has determined there will be no power coming to this building." Now, that was it. Now, that's when I went and bought this big building and a lot, because I figured if I owned it and not rented it, maybe I could stop this. But the truth is, I should have followed the instructions of Imam Issa and opened up Genesis in the little house next to my home. But I was still in the learning stages. Are you following me? I went down to my lot on Market Street with my primary lieutenant at that time, a brother named Abdullah Muhammad. And we were in our white jalabias, and we got down on the graded lot in prostration and started to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on a bright summer day. And we heard a voice over our head back at Moody's Ice Cream. There was a patrol officer, and he had a gun in his hand, and he had those glasses on that reflect like the colors in the front, the highway patrol glasses. And he said, "Get up and get off this land." And I said to him, "Sir, I own this land, right?" And he said, "I'm going to count to 3, and if you all are not off this land, I'm going to start shooting." Yeah, and then I turned around and looked at Amjad, and then my attention was drawn to the hard clay on the ground. I looked at it. There was a snake egg partially out of the clay, and it cracked open at that second, and a baby snake crawled out of it and started crawling across the ground. And I took that as a sign. I told Amjad, I said, "Let's get up, brother, and go. Aki, let's go." Because that was direct interference again by witches, demons, or whatever you want to call it. They wasn't having it. But I do know that had I followed the instructions clearly of Imam Issa at that time, that would have been a success. But I ended up donating that $250,000 project to Imam Issa and to the Ansar Allah community in Brooklyn. Thereafter, I flew I was at home, myself and the Ansar, and my community there, because I was imam over the city of San Diego. And there was a knock at the door at night, and I had planted some star jasmine. It smelled so wonderful. When I looked out the window, there was a brother standing there in a white jalabia, Ansar, from New York. I opened the door and greeted the brother and let him in. And he walked to the zakat jar. Many of you know what that is and remember. And he dropped a $20 bill in and he sat down. And we spent the night talking in deep conversation. And the next morning we got up, and he wanted to see the building. So I drove out to an interim spot and showed him the building that was up in the air like Noah's Ark. And he was standing next to me, and he had water in his eyes. He said, "Imam Issa wants you to know you're doing a great job, Ahmed." No, he said, "I want you to know you're doing a great job, Ahmed." He said, Imam Issa wants you to know. At that point, I had a feeling that it was Imam Issa because he can take any form, right? Anyway, that night, I was disappointed, so I told the brothers, "Let's get up and go some places." And the brother was sitting there in his jalabia. He said, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "Ride with me." And as we rode, he said, "I'd like you to drop me off somewhere." In the city of San Diego, I thought, and you from New York, where would you go? Who do you know? And he gave me directions, and I just kept turning corner here, turning corners here in the dark, and he stopped on a big, beautiful lawn that was graded upward like a hill, beautiful grass. And he said, "I get out right here, brother." And I said, "Where you going? There's nothing out here." And he just looked at me and smiled with those big white teeth, and he started walking up that incline. And then when he got to the top, he turned around and smiled and waved again, and he was in a lot of brilliant different colors. A lot of bright lights were around him, the same way they've been around me here that people have seen on earth, and some haven't witnessed it. But when he did that and he waved, he turned around his back to us, and he stuck his hand up in the air, and he disappeared in that light. That was him. You follow me? So we have had some fantastic dealings, and I've walked with the Master for many years, and I hear there are people out there enthusiastic, and they love the Wapu, they love the Master, and they love the mission, you know, and they all say the same thing with me. I was with him. I was trying to say, no, brother, sister, please. He and I are one. You were not with him in the same way I was, right? And I was home one morning with Khadijah, and we were sitting in the kitchen at a breakfast nook. I had a beautiful property in San Diego, and we were overlooking the city of Tijuana, Mexico, from that vantage point. And on the kitchen table, I had a Bible that was closed. And she was sitting down, I was standing up. And I was talking about, as usual, like a lot of people would meet me and say, the only thing I remember about Ahmed is Allah. That's all I remember about Ahmed. I remember nothing else about Ahmed except Allah. And suddenly, a voice told me, you had to be in Brooklyn. But I was reaching my 30th birthday. I would get the end of my 30th birthday was approaching. Said, you got to be in Brooklyn while you're still 30 years old. And I was puzzled, and I asked her, did you hear that? She said, yes, I heard it. You're supposed to be in Brooklyn by the time while you're still 30 years old. And then a gust of wind came and blew the Bible open. And I started reading, and it said the scripture about he rode a white horse, and he had a name written on it, and they called his name the Word of God. Are you following me? And then I booked my ticket for Brooklyn, and I went to meet Imam Isa, of whom I had read so many pamphlets, so many True Light pamphlets. And when I got there to the newcomers class, I was sitting in the class with, it was loaded, full of people. And I was waiting patiently because I let them know that I was coming. It was Brother Abdul Batin that was working some things, and we used to talk on the phone quite extensively. And I told him, I said, Batin, Ati, brother, I'm the kind of being that you hear my voice now, but I'll be standing up in some things one day, and I'll be perusing through the books, and you won't know who I am. And then suddenly you get a feeling and you say, is that you, Brother Ahmed? And I'll turn around and say, yes, it is me. And that's what happened. And the sister, Shahar, came in. She was half black and half white. I don't know if that makes a difference to say, but her father was a British doctor, and her mother was an Egyptian. And she used to tell me how she used to play in the pyramids when she was a little girl, this, that, and the other. And then she told me, she said, Ahmed, Imam Isa just flew back from Kordofan in Sudan, and he brought a ring for you, a signet ring, and he said, when I give you this, you'll remember. And she gave me the ring, and I still have it on my finger right now. And it says in Kufic Arabic, Allah is Ahmed. And under the bottom, and Kufic classical Arabic, it has the word Ansar. And I told her I don't remember. That's how deep I was under the spell. And then she said, one more item he left for you is a book. And she walked me over to the door, and there was a perforated burnt orange book with a thick piece of white thorn yarn in it, and he had it hanging on a nail over the top of the door. And she couldn't reach it, so I reached up and got it. And she said, this book is for you. And he said, when you get this book, you'll remember. And the title of the book was Muhammad Ahmed, the only true Mahdi. And it was a picture of Ahmed on a white horse reared up in the air with a jihad holy war symbol on it. And again, I told her, I said, I don't remember. I just don't remember, that's all. But I took the items, and I took them very seriously. And I went on into the newcomers class, and the student imam was teaching. And as he was teaching, because I had read so many of the master's pamphlets, I knew all the answers to the questions and the stuff. I knew the content of what he was teaching. And I got irritated because I didn't see Imam Issa that I had flown all those thousands of miles to see. And I thought to myself, like a nigger, you mean I done flew 3,600 miles to see this guy, and he can't even come out from where he is in this community right here to greet me? And I got frustrated, and I started answering a lot of questions, you know, almost niggardly like, you know. And then pretty soon, I saw a door way to the left open up, and a little, very dark-complected fella in a white jalabia stepped into the room. And he had on a jalabia and a kufi hat. It was pulled down over his forehead, and he had on shoes that were very shiny, but they looked like they had been worn. But what stood out about him is there was a bright light around him, an amber glow. And I had seen auras all my life. The biggest one I saw was around my mother. But this aura, it was bigger than any aura I ever saw. In fact, it went out from him all through the walls and ceiling, so I never could figure out the extent of the aura. It had another quality. You could see strength emanating from that aura. I saw what John saw on the Isle of Patmos when he looked at Melchizedek. And it looked like, to me, that if an 18-wheeler had hit him, his feet wouldn't even slide. That's how powerful this being was. And I looked at the little dark fella, and I was thinking to myself, I was confused. I was just really confused. And I knew I was having a divine experience. And then I went back. That vision was too strong, so I went back to, not heckling, but discourse with this imam, this student. And this little dark fella, he came over to me, but he didn't walk. He glided over to me. His feet wasn't even touching the floor. And I know when I was, as imam in San Diego, I was walking across the lawn during the Jumu'ah, and they took a Polaroid of me, and my feet wasn't on the ground, and they called that picture the float, right? So I recognized, and I was thinking to myself, I saw the semblance, right? And when he got to me, he put his hand on my thigh, and he looked down at me in a very gentlest voice, angelic voice. He said, "Please don't interrupt while the imam is teaching." And I looked up at him, and I was a hardcore dude, a armed robber, you know, all kind of. I had a very serious past. I mean, for a brief period in my life, I really went on walking on the wild. And when he said that, I looked up at him with water in my eyes. I said, "Well, anything you say, you know, just as gentle and submissive." And when he walked off, it was two big black niggas behind me with red eyes, but they could strike a match in their hand. They said, "You know who that is?" I said, "I think I'm beginning to know who it is," right? And then he reappeared out on the stage. Yeah, I'm starting to get it, right? And but you know what? I didn't think it was him when he came out there with all that light and power. I thought it was an answer around him, so I thought to myself, this is what I thought. Still sleep. I said, with guards like this around him, no wonder they can't stop him from writing books like He's a Disease and 666 and the Courtesy of the Cannon. They can't get to him with guards like this. You can run over this nigga with a truck. You understand? But he reappeared on the stage, and everybody introduced him as Imam Al-Hadi Imam Isa Abdul Muhammad Al-Mahdi, right? Because he's from the same family. In fact, he's my grandson, because I am Mahmoud as well. We have a very complex relationship. Anyway, he went with Amantubillahi wa Malakati, asked us to repeat, Amantubillahi wa Malakati wa Katubihi wa Rasulihi wa Yawmi al-Qadi. And he did it in detail, not just in brief, but I believe in Allah's books, angels, and messages, and the final and last day I repeated. And there was a New York nigga sitting next to me, and he made out he was saying all the words wrong and all this. And I looked at this stupid nigga. He wasn't stupid, he was just being a black devil, I guess. And I made eye contact with Imam Issa, and my eyes, and we connected and we conversed visually. We said to each other intuitively, you know, mind to mind, this nigga's an asshole right here. And then he called me up on the stage. I walked up there, and when I started approaching him in that light, I just embraced him and hugged him. And I whispered in his left ear, yeah. I said, and I was looking upward. I said, brother, I love you. And he asked me, he said, do you know how to pray? And I said, no, I don't. And he asked me to go around and pound him because it was time for prayer. And Adon came, Adon and the little boys were doing the call to prayer. And he and I ended up in a room, and there were prayer rugs on the floor, just he and I. And he stood in front of me, and he said, just do what I do. And he took me to the positions in prayer. And I went down in sujood on all fours, and I was praying. Then when it was time to go to stand up, and I went to stand up, and I noticed the room was gone. All it was white light, the floors and ceiling, and the walls were gone. It was just white light, and I was standing in the middle of this light. I was lost and scared to move because I didn't know where I was, up, down, or where was I at in all this light. And without turning around, he said, brother, are you all right? I said, I don't know. I don't know. I want to say, am I all right? I don't know. And we went back down again in sujood, and when I got up this time, the room had come back, and I could hear the little boys doing that, you know, the call to prayer and Arabic and all that. And I stood up, and the room was back. I started looking at my watch immediately, trying to figure out what time the next jet was coming so I could get back to San Diego before this room disappeared again. And he turned around, looked at me, said with a smile, he said, brother, don't worry. Things like that happen around here all the time. And I looked at my watch again. I said, well, it's time for you to hurry up and go before it happened again, right? But that's what I mean about he and I are one, and I have a relationship with Melchizedek, and it's different from what these other people are trying to describe. Anyway, when we left out that room, all the brothers gathered around me, rushed at me and said, who are you? And Imam Mister came over the intercom, said to me, said, how do you spell your name? And they brought me a pencil and paper, and I wrote down Hamad, Hamad, right? Because when I was in my kitchen in San Diego, the voice said, they told me to be in Bullet, said, your name is Ahmed. And I didn't know, I never heard that before, and so I thought it was Hamad. That's what I thought from television and things, so I wrote Hamad. And then his voice came ringing over the intercom again. He said, Ahmed, stay. I'm making you imam. And the brothers rushed from me and said, who are you? He never did that before. And I said, I'm Ahmed. You know. But I didn't stay. I got back on the jet and flew back to San Diego. Now, I was taking pictures of Staten Island while I was in the air and what have you, but now they had a movie on. It was called In Golden Pond. And I was looking at the movie, and everybody on the plane was turning around, gooseneck, and staring at me. And I felt funny, so I started looking at myself, trying to see what they stared at. I went to the bathroom, I see. So when we landed in San Diego, I went out, and then the brothers, they were up at the top of the escalator looking down at me, and I was going to come up the escalator because they came out in the van to take me home. And one of my second lieutenants, Amin Abdul Muhammad, he looked down at me on the stairs and he said, Imam, your face is shining like the sun. You all lit up. And I thought to myself, now, I don't know what he's talking about. So when we went home in the van, I forgot about that, and I went back to the master bedroom, and I went to the bathroom. It was getting twilight, almost dark. And I'm sitting on the stool, and I had mirrored a whole wall. I had a whole wall of mirrors with designs on, and I was looking in the mirrors in the twilight, and I saw it. I was all lit up like a light. I could see it. I was lit up, and I was confused by that. Now, don't frown on me, but I popped out some Colombian gold and $100 weed paper, and I broke it up, and I rolled a joint. And I was looking at that light. I'm lit up in the mirror, and I was confused, and I lit the joint. And the second I lit that joint, the light went out. And I said to myself, oh, they don't like that, to myself, right? But what I found out later is that what sin is anything that disturbs the peace of your heart, right? If you think it's wrong, then that makes it a sin. And I thought that intoxication was a sin, right? But it was just a habit that I had that I hadn't broken yet. Anyway, I'm going to stop about my personal journey with him because it's too much. It's too deep, and he come to me as a grade. He came to me many times in New Orleans. I mean, I want y'all to know that it's all real. But now let's go to the NGO, please.
Thanks for sharing.
We love you, Amun. We love you.
Say it again.
Thank you for sharing.
We love you. We love you, Amun. We love you.
I love you all. I really do love you all. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I thank you. Not only did he do that, the statues that you see at Amun-Rayay, they came from New Orleans.
That's
Not
right.
only did he do that, he uplifted a lot of people and gave a lot of individuals right knowledge. Whoever is listening, please keep listening.
I love you,
And
Henry.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Also,
I know. I'm 49 years old. And that man, that God, that Hierophant, I don't know what to say. I've been out the loop for a minute, but I thank you. I just got back on this frequency of doing the right thing. All we have to do is the right thing.
Yeah, you tell them where the Sphinx came from.
New Orleans, Louisiana.
That was my project because he had some people on Amun-Rayay.
Anything that you see on the land came from New Orleans, Louisiana.
That's
all
right.
the entertainers that y'all see.
That's
So
right.
y'all know what it's like.
The man that
waking
built
up.
floats, he did that work. And I also conscripted, it was my project to do that piece with Imam Panabat Maku at that time, sitting on that throne. That was my work too, right?
Do
But
you know what it's like
that Sphinx,
waking up?
let me say this, son. That Sphinx was my project. And he told me I had to get it there before his birthday. And I had to have that thing done, and I had it on 2 18-wheeler trucks. One was the low boy to get under the bridges. And then I got on a jet, and I rented a car in Atlanta, a little red economy car. There was a white man on the jet sitting next to me, and he was asking me a lot of questions about our organization, and finally came up with, can I please take him to Amun-Rayay and let him see for himself and this, that, and the other? And I said, no, I can't do that. I don't know you. But that was the government reaching out even at that time. But anyway, I got out and I went and got my car, my little car, and I started driving because I was late, like a bat out of hell, riding hell for thunder to get to Amun-Rayay. And I called the office and told him, said, look, I'm on the way. And the sister said, Ahmed, the Maku ordered everybody on Amun-Rayay not to lift a hand or a foot until Ahmed comes through the pylons. And I said, what does that mean? He said to tell you that you are now officially acting Maku. Acting Maku, the chief. And I hurried up even faster. I pushed my foot through the floor, and I screamed through the gate, and that was the trucks there. And we started unloading the Sphinx, and we didn't have a cherry picker, a big machine to get it off. And I told the brothers to go to the hardware, because I'm a carpenter, not of Nazareth this time, but I am a carpenter. And I told them to get me some 4x4s, green treated lumber, and we pounded them with mauls up under the body of the Sphinx. And then I had them 16 feet long, and I had brothers on each side of it. And I told the truck driver, after I paid him the thousands of dollars for the rest of the... Marcus sent me the money out in the bag, and I sat on the back of his truck and paid him the rest of his money. And I told him, I said, when I tell you, give you the order, I want you to drive out from under the Sphinx. And the white man looked at me like, are you crazy? You know how heavy this thing is? I said, don't worry about it. We got it. And I told all the brothers at one time, I said, when I count to 3, I want you to lift. And they all lifted. And I told the white man, I said, now drive. And he drove out from under it. And we already had a concrete platform down there for it. And then I would say, 1, 2, 3, step. 1, 2, 3, step. Then I told him, step to the side. 1, 2, 3, step. And we got it placed right over the concrete slab. I said, now on the count of 3, I want y'all to lower it. And they did. And we took the 4x4s out from under it. And I crawled under there, but I had asked them to go to the hardware and get me a ram set, a 22 caliber ram set, so I could nail it down to the concrete form. And I was in that up under there in the dark, just bam, bam, firing it, nailing it down so the wind couldn't move it. And then we came out. I set up a saw bench, and I started cutting the forms out and building a scaffold, so we could put that big giant head up there because we didn't have no crane, no cherry picker, nothing. And I built a scaffold, and we put the paws on and put it together. And then I saw, it was a big crowd of people up on the hill that I never saw in Tamaray before. And all the brothers, because he had about 300 brothers working with me. And I got pictures of me standing with those 300 brothers with that Sphinx, partly done. But I left the saw bench, and I went way up on that hill. I saw all these crowds of people there. And also, I want to say, when I saw Imam Issa in Brooklyn, after all that, he was sitting on his throne, and I walked in front of him, and he had 3 stripes on the left side of his cheek. 3 tribal stripes. Yeah. And on his hand, on his left hand, he had the same signet ring that I have on now on my left hand. But when I looked at his ring, it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And like a nigger, I said, why is your ring so much bigger than mine? And he looked at me and started smiling with them big white teeth again. He said, I've had it a very long time, And when I got in the holy tablets back to see the size of the master's ring, in other words, this stuff is real. I don't care if it sounds cartoonish or just crazy. It's realer than you could ever imagine, all of it. But when I walked up there on top of that hill, he was teaching. And I never saw him like this. He had on a beige pleated shirt, and he was standing next to a beige Mercedes-Benz, the exact same color as his Three Musketeers shirt. And he looked at me, he stopped teaching, he looked at me over the crowd, and he said, and I don't care how bad you are. And I was thinking to myself, what are you talking about? But I looked at him again, and he was a muscle man. Now, I never saw him as no muscle man ever, but he was a muscle man. And I said, what? And then he told all the crowd to leave. And he asked me to come, and we walked together. And he was talking to me, and we were looking down on the Sphinx. And he was standing on my left, I was on his right. And I told him, I said, the office, it was $8,000 to make the trucks roll, and it was real slow with coming forward with the payment. And I said, and these trucks were charging by the hour, so we lost this many thousands of dollars. And he looked at me and said in a loud voice, you think they're going to tell me the truth? And he was, and I didn't, my feelings was hurt, because all I was trying to do so I just turned around and started walking away from him, walking back down to finish the project. And he kept calling me, I care. No, he said, Akbar. But I kept walking. You know, I didn't want to turn around because I didn't know what he was hollering at me for. I was trying to tell him, you better rein these niggas in because they bullshitting. You understand? And they still doing it, right? But let me try to get more to the point here. I don't want to talk you guys' ear off with. Well, it's real. It's real. Yeah. Okay, we're going to go to the Holy Injil to chapter 16 on page 679. And you should have your disc in 679 to start. I'm telling you, I know that this is difficult to believe, but I can't emphasize enough that the Most High is real. And I know even a madman in his madness knows that, but it's hard for you all, and I know that. It's difficult at times because it's me, and I can't believe it a lot of times. Do you understand? And I know all this healing and moving stars and all the lighting up with oils and, in other words, being taken up into different worlds and crafts and Nibiru. I know it's hard for y'all. It's difficult. Anyway, Holy Injil, page 679, starting at the top. Blonde-haired, blue-eyed beings from Pleiades giving birth to the Flugerods until after they were cast to earth. You can either be a black devil or be possessed by a black devil. One is when one of the wicked demons get into your heart, chest, and you do his works, Genesis 4:7. The other is to be born of the evil one's seed and have black skin. It's nothing new to speak of how the devil enters man as he entered Ham. Please start your phone. Judas, son of Iscariot, was the Nubian who betrayed Jesus, son of Gabriel, and Mary for 30 pieces of silver. John 13:27. Please start your phone. Peter, son of John. There's a black devil on the phone. One of Jesus' disciples was also a Nubian, tempted Jesus to do the wrong thing, and Jesus called him Satan. Matthew 16:22. 23. Mary Magdalene was possessed with 7 devils. Mark 16:9, Luke 8:2. So the devil can reside in a Nubian man, making him a human devil. You must stop the white devil thing. Blacks are devils too. The devil doesn't care who he gets into. Whoever will do his work is his children, called jinns by the Muslims, demons or devils, like this guy on Telegram, Dejour, D-J-S-E-R, Dejour, right? He's in combat with me and a platform where I'm there to save souls. It got so bad that all the people on Telegram blocked me. And I found out when I went on there again last night, because I have been woke a couple of days, that they all opened up at once, and that he's the only one that has me on block. But everybody else, everything is open for me there, and I love everybody that's there, one with me. And I don't know what it is with the fellow Zybri that he's got a page there, and he never lifted a finger in defense of the truth or to testify to the realness of it at all. So I was just reading to you all some things. There is nothing good to be inherited from mixing your seed with the Amorite. It is the Amorite himself who would benefit. He needs the Nubian man to keep his degenerative seed alive. The War of the Roses, which occurred in Europe in 1455 AD, 1485 AD, between two families, the Yorks and the Lancasters. Although it stemmed from a dispute of succession to the English throne, a major issue was marriages between the families involved. Marriages were arranged but never took place because the York family tried to evade the hemophiliacs, bleeders of the Lancaster family. Think about Burt Lancaster. The second messenger pours his vial out upon the sea, and every living soul in the sea dies. And the second angel poured out his vial. Well, I'm only going to read the correct translations by Imam Issa. I mean, he got so many names I get, but you know who I'm talking about. And the second messenger poured out his vial upon the sea, so that it became blood. It was like the blood of the dead is coagulated. And every living spirit died, which was in the sea, unlike in the time of Noah, when the living things of the waters were spared. This time, none will be spared. And you got to know you all are in those days right now, and you in the right place. Don't take. And Danny touched my heart so much when he called me, and he said something I've heard frequently. He said, the first time I heard you teach, I knew I was in the right place. And he said it with a surety in his heart and a confidence that I knew it was much more than belief. He did know. And what that did for me is it confirmed to me what I already knew, that it was really him. It was really him. Okay, page 686. And the third Elohim poured out his vial or bowl upon the rivers and upon the springs of the water. So it became blood, infecting all the waters of the earth. Most of the world's water supply is in a bad state. Most of the world's water, first place, and most of the water is salt, which is unfit for drinking. So water is still. So what they're going to describe here is the terrible conditions that are taking place in the world, right? And I would like you all to download on the computer something called Doomsday Caught on Camera. Write it down. Doomsday Caught on Camera. Download that and email it to me too and watch it. Right? But this whole decadent society is falling apart. And it's apocalypse is being televised, but people don't believe what's in front of their face. Look at ICE all over in Minnesota. You know, in Chicago, they shot another woman 5 times yesterday. Yeah, you know, and the society is falling apart. You got, you know who's in the White House. He's calling another president. He's not the first black president, because a lot of people don't know that John Hanson was a black president before George Washington, because in order to raise a soldier to the rank of 5-star general, it has to be a president that does it. Was John Hanson. In fact, there were 11 black presidents before George Washington. Do the research.
That's right.
They try to hide it, but if you do deeper, yeah, you know, so send that proof to me, brother, again, so I can give it to them. All right? And look at what's happening in the streets and all the disease and plagues and things that are happening. So we're going to bypass that, and I'd like to take y'all to chapter 18 of Revelation. We're going to start off in the very beginning of it. But read Revelation 16 as well, when you have time. I don't know how you could not have time for anything else. That's going to be on page 762 of the NGO. Let me know when you all are there. But I want you to listen very carefully. You got to listen very carefully, because this creator that you all believe in is communicating to you through these words, through these messengers, through myself, and through these scriptures. That's how he communicates to you. 762. I love you more, believe me. I wouldn't be going through all this hell and high water if I didn't. And I've been through a lot of it. They've been trying to kill me since birth. Please mute your phones. Don't do that. Okay. Are you all there?
Cool.
I love you. Chapter 18. And we're only going to go to the correct translation by Malachi. And page 763. And after that, I, John, son of Zebedee and Salome, saw another Anunnaki, Elohim, descending down from the Orion skies. And he had great authority, and the planet Earth was lit up by his brilliance, because he brought the true light to the planet Earth. All right, now I declare to you all that from now on until I say different, I'll be moving the Orion constellation in the skies at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every night until further notice. Another sign. I had one sister on Telegram. These people are crazy. And it's Clarissa. She'd been in class with us a long time, like many of the people there. And she asked me, she said, Amun, why are you wasting your time moving moons and stars and all that? Instead of, and she named off a list of things that I should be doing according to her. And I told her, I said, beloved, let me explain that these people here are so hard-hearted and stiff-necked that they don't believe in it. And I have to convince them that it's me in order to even get their attention. And I'm not like any other being sent from the Most High, that he blessed and graced all of us with the ability to perform miracles, even though in the last days he gave me the ability to perform miracles greater and more glorious than all the previous ones. But it's to show to these people that are so hard-hearted and to separate themselves from the rest of the people that are just talking heads. You have to first convince the people that it's really you, and you sent from the Most High. And the only way I know how to do it is through miracles. You have to be able to do things that other human beings can't do. And thinking of miracles, I thought moving stars and moons and suns and constellations, because it was the only thing I could think of that was high enough in the sky that most of at least half the people in the world could see at one time as evidence that it's me. Don't you understand? And then once I get people's attention and they know it's me, then maybe I can start doing the other projects you talked about. Okay.
Cool.
Page 765. And he cried in with a great voice, saying, Babylon the big is fallen. The time is now come for the demise of Babylon, the fourth empire of the evil reptilian, to come to an end. Like all others, and America has become the dwelling place of demons. That's right. A home for the physical, malevolent beings, and the prison of every unclean, unholy demon, and hated bird, taking the symbol of the eagle for the nature of a vulture, because it is powerful and kills. See, he's blowing up these ships and attacking countries. The eagle was not always the symbol of the seal of the United States of America. The original bird was the phoenix bird, which was used because it represented the new Roman Empire rising out of an old Roman Empire, out of the ashes. Because the phoenix is a bird that it dies, and then it is consumed by fire in its nest, and then it reemerges brand new and then flies away for 600 years across the world. Yeah, it's true, the phoenix bird. Do some research on it. All right. Now let's go to page 667. Because all nations have drank of the intoxicant of her punishment, of her fornication, partaking in the delicacies of the harlot, living deliciously, will taste the punishments of hell's fires. And the rulers of the planet Earth, who are the real red and black Arabs who fornicated with her, and the businessmen of the planet Earth, have all become very rich by way of her luxuries. Right? Page 768. And I, John, son of Zebedee, and Salome, heard another voice from the Orion sky saying, Leave her, O my kindred, the family of Adam, Nubians, so that you don't become a binder of partners with her in her sins. Come out of Babylon, so you won't believe the evil one's reptilian's teachings, that Jesus, the Son of God, the Father, and Gabriel, the Holy Ghost, or in Egypt, Osiris, Isis, Horus, or in Babylon, Anu, Eplil, and A, or Greece, Zeus, Bethina, and Apollo, or Zoroastrianism, Anu, Anahita, Mitra, or to the Buddhists, Buddha, Vaisat, and Gautama are one and the same. Don't become a polytheist, a person who believes in more than one God. By believing three gods called the Trinity, people became polytheistic through ignorance. For such a grief, there is a grievous chastisement and no forgiveness, so that you all will not get her plagues, which consist of the many mentioned throughout the book of Revelation. There are two sets of plagues. The first set are all announced by the blow of the trumpet. Now, page 770. For her sins have piled on top of each other, so that they reach right up to the Orion skies, and the Theos remembers her wrongdoing. Next page, 771. Reward her, the like she rewarded you, the harlot, will suffer the same treatment she inflicted upon the innocent and righteous souls, and give her twice as much the likes of her own works in a glass, which is mixed with a mixture of her own sins. This is the same cup of fornication and abominations. The harlot is described as holding in her hand in Revelation 17:4. New Babylon, America, is going to be taken care of the way she has taken care of the Nubians for all these years. The pain, suffering, and heartaches she has inflicted will return upon her. The time has come for Babylon to reap what she has sown, but she will receive it double-fold. Now, you see how they turning on each other and killing each other. And you see we had a plague of mass shootings for years here in this country, and they're still going on, but not at the same rate. Where these white people were being possessed and running into churches and elementary schools and slaughtering all those children, 20 and 30 at a time, and blowing them to pieces so dramatically that the parents couldn't identify the bodies except through DNA. You know what I mean? But I also beseech the Most High that he turn the evil upon itself, that it consume itself too, and away from you all, right? Because like Padre Babianu said, Amun has been protecting all of us since the year 2000, right? And that's one of the ways that I do it. Okay, the pain, suffering, and heartaches she has inflicted will return upon her. The time has come for Babylon to reap what she has sown, but she will receive it double-fold. Right now, she is pouring the cup of destruction from which she will drink. In her endeavor to destroy the Nubian race, her plan has backfired on her. You know what I mean? They're trying to, being led by Donald Trump, block all African and black history and stop all the gains that you made, and you all are not described or defined as American citizens with the actual right to vote and all these things. Right after all these 400 years of slavery, you more American than anybody else in America. But and you fought in every war. I'm just saying this injustice has then reached up to the throne of the Most High, and I'm here to tell you, it stinks in the nostrils of God. All right, she tried to kill us off with drugs, but didn't think that her own kids would be dying from overdoses also. She is losing her kids to evil worship and rock music, with the latest being the Black Nubian man's heavy metal, hip-hop. Everything that they created to harm Nubians has turned around and began to attack them. She destroyed the ozone layer, poisoned the air and water, and has generally broken down the ecological makeup of the planet Earth, causing her people to be affected adversely by the sun. Amorites are literally dropping dead from overexposure to the sun's rays. Thus, by her hands, she is causing her very own downfall. Next page. As she glorified herself with songs such as America the Beautiful, the Star-Spangled Banner, My Country, 'Tis of Thee, and her Pledge of Allegiance, and lived luxuriously in comfort, as that give her suffering and weeping. As much as the harlot glorifies herself, living good in the lap of luxury, she is to receive that much suffering and torment, because she says in her heart, as she truly believe it, surely I saw the queen, which derives from the Old English Suini, which means a woman prostitute. And I am not a widow, revealing that she did not inherit her wealth and status from a dead man, but that she is simply a product of all the previous empires of the evil reptilian. Well, the Queen of England just bit the dust, and I am not going to experience any sadness. She truly believes she will never fall. The United States thinks itself to be invincible, but Theos will pass judgment on her, and she will be destroyed. This harlot is symbolic of the Statue of Liberty. The Queen of England, Golda Meir, the Prime Minister of Israel, she petitioned to give the so-called Jews a separate state in Israel, which was broken in 1996 by the Jews giving the Palestinians not a part of Israel, of Israelite or Jewish land, but Bethlehem, a Christian land, which resulted in the uprising of Ethiopians all over Israel. Now you know that the fake Jews, like in the Bible it says, there are those of you that say they are Jews, but are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. These white people, now you know in ancient days there were 12 tribes of Israel, and one was the tribe of Judah, and 7,000 of which never bowed their knee to the image of Baal. And they all migrated. They weren't taken into Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon, but they migrated to ancient Abyssinia, which is modern-day Ethiopia. And there they have, in a small church, the Ark of the Covenant. And so the fake white Jews, they went over there with military force and attacked them to try to take the Ark of the Covenant. And they slaughtered thousands of them, but the Most High was with them, and they couldn't overthrow them to take that Ark. But do your history and do your research. This was recently by the Israelites, by the Ethiopian uprising. These are prophecies being fulfilled when it says the queen will be pulled down by our own people. These women represent the harlot because as leaders of their countries, they succeeded in making the nations of the world partake in her fornications, enjoying her luxuries, and assisting her to condemn others to a life of poverty and starvation. Now, you know that in England there, in regards to the Epstein files, that they took the prince and demoted him and other dignitaries there. They fired him, get rid of him, because in England they're trying to stay ahead of the gap, because they know the Most High is real. But you got to overstand, like Donald Trump is saying, that they're sending in all their rejects and criminals and from insane asylums and, you know, rapists and murderers and mixing all these foreign people with that good white blood, you know. But remember how the United States got started. England emptied out all of her poorhouses and her dungeons and her penitentiaries and sent the dregs, the lowest of the low of the citizens, to repopulate the United States, so that the lowest and evilest and filthiest of all the Caucasian race are the Americans. Are you following me? And this man is trying to make everybody, convince everybody of the exact opposite of that. Now, they're all involved, including him in the Epstein case, in which they're covering up, you know, like a cat is on, you know, But the point of the matter is, whatever's in the dark going to eventually come to the light, and I'm going to see to it, especially if he keeps messing and threatening my people with these FEMA camps, pre-dug graves, and these coffins that house 3 people in it, and bullet trains. A lot of you all drive around in your countries and states and see on the side of the highways big stacks of things that you're confused about what it is. You think it's outhouses or something. That, what that is coffins. Thousands and thousands of coffins that are capable of holding 3 bodies each. And they just said in the news that Donald Trump and his Grand Assembly of Demons are trying to authorize building penitentiaries in every major city in the country to hold 10,000, a minimum of 10,000 people in each one, just like they did in Germany and Auschwitz and different places to build the concentration camps for the Jews and internment camps for the Japanese in America. They're doing this here for you, the black man. They're trying to prevent your Bush from being altered and trying to convince people you're not. That's why he just put an effigy out from the White House of Michelle Obama and President Obama with their heads superimposed on the bodies of apes. You know, like when he was running for office, they had a lot of white people putting up signs with him as an ape. You know, and Donald Trump did that. He's trying to, just like they did in slavery, they're trying to convince people that you all are not human, so that when they start treating you in such horrible ways, and their kids ask them, "Daddy, why are you doing that?" He can say, "Well, they're not really people. They're animals. They don't have a soul." But when that happened, the Most High presented to me a picture of Donald Trump as a monkey, and it wasn't a fake picture. It was a real monkey. It even has his hairs. How many of you all have seen that picture?
I did, and I loved it and passed it on.
Yo,
I did.
It cracked me up, Amun. It cracked me up.
It's my wall.
Yeah, but you know, the way you're going to make it effective is you got to make sure that picture, it's your responsibility to make sure that picture, just like these posts that I sent out to you and these classes, are spread all over the planet. That's your responsibility, disciples. Get this truth out all over the planet. And I'm telling you right now, that'll go a long way in whipping Donald Trump and those white people from telling that damn lie that black people are monkeys. Let's stop that.
Ooh.
You don't know, there's no nappy-head monkeys with black skin. No. And you see they got their eyes, their thin lips and sideburns, and the bugs on them. They have hirsutism with fur all over their bodies. That's not hair, that's fur. And, you know, it's the planet of the apes where the monkeys running things and got the people locked up in cages. And it's time for this stuff to be brought to a screeching halt. You hear me? And that's what I'm here to do. And I bless everybody that gets on board with me, not to talk, but to walk that walk.
Ooh.
All right. There are also other harlots, such as Elizabeth Taylor and Marilyn Monroe, who represent the 2 harlots who founded the Tool Society, which was Ingram and Maria Ostich. They tried to represent them with Cher and Madonna, but it didn't work. So they resurrected Marilyn Monroe and gave Elizabeth Taylor a second life. She was on the verge of death, and now she looks 20 years younger. Have you all seen pictures of Donald Trump on TV where sometimes he looks younger all of a sudden?
Yeah.
That's the devil working his witchcraft, because with medicine and what have you. Because a lot of people don't know, but pharmacy, when you look up the meaning of the word, it means sorcery, witchcraft. Her health is not as bad anymore. They couldn't physically resurrect Marilyn Monroe because she was already dead. So what they did was put out her face all over posters and on something to do Elvis, and they even have a computer software program for her. That is how they resurrect their dead. Princess Diana, D-I-E, is the new harlot. She's the one who was to bring the harlot to the throne in Revelation 17:4. It says that the harlot was arrayed in gold and precious pearl and stones. And if you go back and check out Princess Di's wedding, she had the most elaborate wedding. They want to dethrone the royal family because they are an embarrassment by bringing scandals about money, sex, infidelity, etc. They are bringing all kinds of attention to them. This is the prophecy of the harlot bringing down the world. That's why they call her Princess Di. Di meaning death. Page 779. Just for that, her place will come in one day. The place will come all at once. The way the world is today, with its all diseases, family like COVID and 9/11, pestilences, earthquakes, and wars. Make sure you download that movie I told you. That documentary. There will come death for many different circumstances. People will start to feel the serious. The name of it is?
Yes, the name of the documentary.
All right, 1 second.
Thank you.
Doomsday.
Doomsday
caught on camera.
Caught on camera.
Doomsday caught on camera. Right? You have to look at that. All right. Just for that, her place will come in one day. The place will come all at once. The way the world is today, with its all diseases, famines, pestilences, earthquakes, and wars, there will come death from many different circumstances. People will start to feel the serious side effects of the wrath of Theos in the form of the many natural and unnatural disasters which will plague the earth. And I'll tell you that all these disasters are a sign of my return, okay? Our return. Death by war, death by disease, death by forces of nature, as never seen before, and weeping and starvation. The people of America shall cry from their misery, and some will die from their inadequate water supplies and food shortages. You all know that in the supermarkets, there's a lot of products that you used to have readily available are not there. The shelves are empty now. Devastating effects of mass famine and droughts, and she will burn by fire because Theos has power, and he has passed judgment on her. For the first time ever, a world war will be fought on America's soil. Nations of the world will fight a fierce war against her, and Donald Trump is making it happen, bringing destruction never felt in the shores of the USA. Oh, he's going out of his way to usher in World War III, isn't he?
Yes, he
Page
is.
780.
Oh, yeah.
And there will be crying and weeping because of her with those who have fornicated with the harlot. Now, they don't mean getting in bed having sex with a woman. They mean being joined at the hip with America. Have fornicated with the harlot and enjoyed the luxuries afforded them because of their relationship with her. See her destruction. They will be exceedingly sad because they will see their own world go up in smoke, like 9/11, right? The rulers of the planet Earth, who have fornicated with her and enjoyed the comforts of life, when they see the smoke of the fire of her burning, they thought that America was indestructible and will be severely disappointed. That's right. 782. And standing from far distances because they are in terror of her torment, they will not come to her aid for fear that her punishment will befall them. That's right. That's exactly what happens quite frequently with America internationally, saying, plague, plague is the great city Babylon, the city which has so much power. Just because of 1 hour has come your judgment. The end of New Babylon has finally come. In half an hour from 1970 A.D., that's when Panababianu broke the seventh seal, and that was the number 19 for me. I was 19 years old, born in 1951. It has been on a course to eternal damnation to occur in the year 2000 A.D. And from 1970 to 2030 years, right, which is the number 30 was numerical value was abjad. Is lamb. 30 is equivalent to the number 30. Lamb. 784. And the businessmen of the planet Earth will cry and weep because of her. They will see their individual empires of wealth crumble right along with America. They will react in the same manner as the merchants of Tyre did when the great city fell, Ezekiel 27:36, because of all their merchandise. They're talking about the Thera and the Minoan Empire, with a great bull from the sea, the volcano. No one will buy from them anymore. They will no longer have a great demand for their merchandise. When Babylon, America, goes up in smoke, the businessmen, merchants will lose their most lucrative customer. The United States is one of the biggest importers of the world. By virtue of this, the economic destruction and the reaction of those who witness it in horror. Just as Tyre fell, so will Babylon. 786. The merchandise of gold and silver, and precious stones and pearls and silks of purple, and silks of red, and all kinds of expensive woods, and every pottery from ivory, and every pottery of precious stone and brass and iron and marble. From this, you can see that this great city, Babylon, is very wealthy. These lists of imports and exports in this verse and the next that this power controls is impressive. 787. And cinnamon and merchandise of frankincense and perfumes and intoxicants and oil and fine flour and wheat and livestock and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves. Who are you, the Nubians, and are still the slaves of the Amorite after all these years? They are the dead blacks, mentally dead. Like some of these niggas in Telegram and all over this media, Facebook. They got this one nigga, I forgot his name, Nasut. That is a black devil that used to be in my classes for years. I done healed that nigga so many times, and he done watched stars and crafts come to him that I sent to him and all kind of things. He done testified. I got thousands of testimonies. But he convincing them people I'm a fake and a fraud. And he's the fake and the actual fraud. And a black devil that's blocking us in every way. Yeah, trying to get us kicked off Facebook and everything. I mean, I do too. Who's this, sister? Who are you?
This is Onk.
Okay, yeah, I know. I bear witness too. You right. And that's our job, to bear witness. Bless your soul. And so you got to tell them. And Anukas bears witness as well. Negroes who out of their trust in the Caucasian man eagerly slave for him from Monday to Friday, all for the mighty dollar bill and the very spirits of nation of people with all the money they acquire from the merchandise. They want people to kill other people. The Amorite has no regard for life if it's in the way of his physical fulfillment of wealth. It's all a part of the crumbling of this decadent society. Its very fiber is shredding apart. And fruits that your spirit lusted after, such as prostitutes, yet no more whores and harlots will be available, and are separated from you, and all kinds of things which are small and needed disappeared. That's what I mean, off the shelves, right? Every convenience of everyday living will be gone. The basic necessities of life will be a thing of the past. No more import-export trade will mean an end to having the things that Americans normally take for granted. It's happening. 791. The things which made the businessmen rich are now standing far away from them. Businessmen will have no more business to tend. The Donald Trumps and Adnan Khashoggi's and the Murdochs, the richest man in the world, will have no more wheeling and dealing, for even the hub of the new Babylon, Wall Street, will be crushed. They will realize that their fate is tied up with America's because of the fear of the pain. They cry and weep. They will experience the devastation of their whole world right before their eyes. And I'm glad to say I'm part of ushering that in, right? And I'm going to put hurricanes on. In fact, every time they approach you all and try to block you and do all kind of evil things to you, I'm going to curse them with hurricanes and storms and diseases and plagues, Paul, because I'm like a shepherd with a flock of sheep, and I stand with a staff, but it's a double-barrel shotgun. And whenever the wolf comes around, his head and his ass is in danger, because I will blow him straight off.
Thank you.
Because they don't know I really love you all, you my family, and have been for a very long time. 792.
Amun.
Yes.
This Katat, I just want to let you know that package is in Macon.
It's been what now?
It's in Macon. I tracked it to Macon.
Okay, is it on the way?
Yeah, it's on the way. They say it's in Macon.
I love you. See, what Katat and I are trying to do is find some gold for you all. And then my job is he's finding another base, and I got to find the 9 elements that go into it, right? Okay, 792 saying, plagued is the great city which was wrapped in silk and purple, and red-colored mask of gold and precious stones, and pearls, which is used as a veil of wealth to conceal all its evils. On the outside, America looks like a beautiful gem. It has lured many innocent victims into its shores. You know, like they want to try to be Leave It to Beaver and all this stuff. You know, War Cleaver and such a nice, wonderful American home, and, you know, they beautiful, good people, Santa Claus and all that. But Santa is Satan. Just rearrange the letters.
That's right.
And what color suit does Santa wear?
Red.
Red, like the devil.
Red.
That's right. And another name for him, the devil, is Old Nick, and they call Santa Claus Saint Nick.
Saint Nick.
Right?
Yeah.
And Santa Claus, Claus should be C-L-A-W-S.
That's right.
Oh, you better. He knows and you see. See, that is the devil. You know, that's murdering people and causing all this hell. But they try to wear this mask of a beautiful, kind, benevolent people. And they try to put the mask on black people like we're the dregs of the earth and we're the criminals and the murderers. They got people, every time you walk by their cars, they slam it.
It's 10:39. Wait
there. Okay, it's 10:39. I'm sorry, I got to stop. And we'll continue next time. But I done went past 10:30, so you all need to step outside real quick while I'm going to move Orion right now and the moon. And I need you all to work with me. Please go out there and you all start moving these stars and things as well. Keep exercising your third eye. Please strengthen those muscles. They're atrophied. And resurrect you bones. Walk, raise up, and hit the battlefield running. But we're not going to fight them with bottles and sticks and guns. That's what they want us to go up against tanks with bottles and rocks. No, we're going to fight them on the battlefield of the soul, where they can't even reach, where they're just like a turtle on its back. You follow me? And your weapon is truth. Listen to me good. Your sword is truth. And when you hear these truths, you got to propagate it all over the world. Otherwise, you're hiding your light under a bushel basket. If Thor got a hammer and he's got it hanging on his side, how does that destroy his enemies? It doesn't. You have to wield your hammer. And your hammer and your sword is truth. And you got to publish it. And don't leave a stone unturned. Be curious. Go into areas of media that you've never been in before, all in the Twitter and Instagram, and put these posts and make sure that people got links to these classes and the class times and hours. Most important, you got to have links to classes. Don't think that your personal messages are going to make people come to us. Because even me, with the links to class and performing miracles, these are hard-hearted people. I know you sincere, but they don't trust me. They don't care about your personal message to them at all. But if you do what I'm telling you the way I'm asking you to do it, you too will be remembered for all times. Just get in where you fit in and do your part. This is a giant puzzle. and time is short. Now, who's the first one out there that can see something in the sky, like Orion or the moon or whatever?
Amun, I see Orion.
All right. Orion, in the name of Amun-Rayay, raise up. And I'm going to make it brighter for you, too. Tell us what you see.
It's rising up.
It's getting brighter. It's getting brighter.
All right. Now
It's
move
so
to the
good.
left. Move to the left in the name of the Messiah.
Moving left.
All right. Now I want it to come to you closer. Come to it closer.
Look like a 3D.
Yeah. Now go back out. Now move in a circle clockwise in the name of Amun-Rayay.
Moving clockwise. The belts are moving.
Right. And we're going to move the moon up in the name of the Messiah. That's why when you all get your names from me, everybody's name has the name Amun in it. Because when we perform miracles and do these great works, we do it as one in the name of Amun, because that's what you all are emerging into. And yes, oh Danny, you will get your name in a white stone pretty soon. I love you all. Now we're going to make that moon go in circles clockwise. We're going to make it flicker a little bit too. Yeah. Now raise up.
What is that?
Yes. Now drop down.
Wow.
Now we're going to take all the stars in heaven, all the planets, all creation, raise up in the name of Amun-Rayay. Now all creation, move to the left in the name of the Messiah. All creation, move back to the right in the name of Amun-Rayay.
Wow.
Moving right.
Now you all need
Everything's
to write
right.
testimonies. Please, everybody, write testimonies of what you experienced in this and other classes and make them clear and vague. A lot of people make kind of milquetoast testimonies when they say, yeah, we were in class and you told me that, but you fail to testify to the miracles and the things that's supernatural. That's why when you communicate to people and you talk like another religious person, they don't care. They overlook it. You have to catch people's attention with the overwhelming, the good news, and the wapu. Tell them the truth, that we're back, and time is short. Get in Telegram and flood it, all of you. Flood Telegram and Facebook. Facebook is still blocking. Get up and do your job. Get in Twitter and Instagram and all these different places, LinkedIn, and make your voice heard all over the world. If you had a hammer, you'd hammer in the morning, hammer all over the world. Bring out the justice and the truth. Bring it out all over the world. Don't be mentally lazy. Do your job. And I love you all that are supporting and testifying. You are warriors. Stand up and fight with your weapon. It's truth. And wield your sword. Wield your sword. I love you.